When I left Texas for my third deployment, the sun was just rising over my ranch, spilling gold across the pastures like a blessing. I remember standing by the old wooden fence, boots planted in the same soil my grandfather once worked, promising myself I would return. I had no idea that while I was overseas serving my country, the place I called home would be sold out from under me. And I had no idea that when the army came back for me, they wouldn't just bring me home. They would bring justice. My name is Daniel Harper, Staff Sergeant, United States Army, third-generation rancher. The Harper Ranch wasn't just land. It was legacy. 200 acres outside a small Texas town called Red Creek. Rolling hills, a weathered red barn, cattle grazing under open skies, and a farmhouse built in 1948 by my grandfather after he came back from World War II. The deed to that ranch had my name on it long before I ever wore a uniform. When my father passed, the responsibility fell to me. I kept the ranch running between deployments. When I was overseas, my cousin Ethan managed daily operations. Everything was legal, documented, and airtight. Or so I thought. About 5 years before my third deployment, a new housing development started creeping toward our land. Developers bought up neighboring properties and built pristine suburban homes with identical mailboxes and trimmed hedges. Then came the HOA. They called themselves Whispering Trails Homeowners Association. My ranch had existed for 70 years. Their subdivision had existed for 7 months. But that didn't stop them from knocking on my door. I remember the day Mrs. Darlene Prescott showed up. Perfect hair. Perfect pearls. Perfectly fake smile. "Mr. Harper," she said, glancing at my cattle like they were an offense to civilization. "Your fencing doesn't meet the aesthetic standards of our community."
I blinkte her.
"Ma'am, this ranch predates your community." She ignored that. "And the barn's paint is faded. It lowers property values. It's a barn. It's an eyesore." I politely told her my property wasn't part of their HOA. She insisted it functionally was because it bordered their development. I shut that down fast. No contract.
No signature. No duas.
No authority. Or so I believed. Orders came down in early spring. Middle East. 9-month rotation. I prepared like always. Legal paperwork. Power of attorney to Ethan for ranch operations. Property taxes prepaid. Utilities automated. I even sent a certified letter to the county reaffirming ownership and contact information while deployed. Everything secure. The morning I left, I walked through every room of the farmhouse, ran my hand along the door frames, touched the old mantle. "I'll be back," I whispered. I meant it. While I was overseas, Whispering Trails HOA decided they had a problem.
Me.
Apparently, new homeowners complained about livestock smells, about tractor noise, about unsightly agricultural presence. They sent violation letters to my ranch address, which was empty. Certified notices returned. Instead of stopping, they escalated. They claimed unpaid HOA dues. Dues I never agreed to. Dues I never owed. They fabricated a lien. Filed it with a county clerk who apparently didn't double-check jurisdiction. Then they initiated foreclosure proceedings. All without ever contacting me directly. All while I was deployed in a combat zone. 6 months into my deployment, while I was leading patrols in 120-degree heat, my ranch was auctioned on courthouse steps for $87,000. Land worth nearly $2 million. Bought by a development company connected to the HOA board. The farmhouse was bulldozed within weeks. The barn flattened. The fences ripped out. Cattle sold. By the time I was flying home, there were foundations poured for 12 new suburban homes where my pasture once stood. And I had no idea. Homecoming ceremonies are strange. You step off a plane into applause and flags. People thank you for your service. But you're still half overseas. Ethan met me at the airport. He looked sick. "Dan," he said quietly, "we need to talk." My stomach dropped. By the time we pulled onto the old county road, my heart was racing. Except there was no ranch at the end of it. No red barn.
No farmhouse.
Instead, there were identical beige houses. Fresh sod. A brand new entrance sign. Whispering Trails Phase 2. I thought we were in the wrong place. Then I saw the old oak tree. My oak tree. Still standing at the edge of what used to be our driveway. That's when I knew. I don't remember getting out of the truck. I remember dirt in my hands. I remember shouting. Ethan kept saying, "We tried to fight it. They said the lien was valid. Said notices were sent. Said you defaulted." Defaulted. I served my country. And they called that default. I drove straight to the county clerk's office. They showed me paperwork.
Line for unpaid HOA.
Foreclosure judgment. Sale confirmation. All legal. But something caught my eye. The lien date. It was filed while I was on active deployment orders. Under the Service Members Civil Relief Act, certain legal actions against deployed military members require court protections. They hadn't filed for any such review. They hadn't notified the court I was deployed. They had steamrolled it through. That's when my anger turned cold. Calculated. The next morning, I drove to the nearest military legal assistance office. I laid everything on the table. Orders. Deployment dates.
Date. Lien document.
The JAG officer, Captain Morales, went silent halfway through reviewing the foreclosure. They didn't petition for a military status affidavit, she said slowly. They what? They were required to verify whether you were on active duty before proceeding. She looked up at me. This foreclosure is likely illegal. Likely. That was enough. Within weeks, things moved fast. The Army doesn't take kindly to predatory actions against deployed soldiers. Captain Morales escalated the case. It went to federal review. Turns out I wasn't the only one. 2 other service members in neighboring counties had similar HOA lien foreclosures during deployment. Same law firm. Same development group. Same board president. Mrs. Darlene Prescott. They had built a business model around targeting absent military landowners near expanding developments. Assumed they wouldn't notice until it was too late. Assumed they wouldn't fight. They assumed wrong. The Department of Justice filed suit under federal protections for service members. The foreclosure was declared void, pending investigation. Construction on Phase 2 halted immediately. Buyers who had purchased homes in that section received notice. Titles under dispute. Whispering Trails homeowners were furious. They blamed me. I didn't care. You don't bulldoze a soldier's home and expect silence. The courtroom was packed the day of the preliminary injunction hearing. Mrs. Prescott avoided eye contact. The developer's attorney argued procedural technicalities. Captain Morales presented deployment records, federal statutes, and evidence of systematic targeting. The judge's expression hardened with each page. You proceeded with foreclosure, he said slowly, without confirming military status, despite federal law requiring you to do so. Silence. Incredible. He granted immediate injunction. All 12 houses were placed under federal seizure pending outcome. Construction frozen. Sales voided. News spread quickly. Local headlines. HOA accused of illegal foreclosure on deployed soldier. National outlets picked it up. Public sympathy wasn't with the HOA. It never is when you mess with a service member's home. Buyers demanded refunds. The developer's stock plummeted. Board members resigned. Mrs. Prescott tried issuing a public statement calling it a misunderstanding. The evidence said otherwise. 6 months later, the ruling came down. The foreclosure was declared null and void. The sale invalidated. All construction deemed unlawful occupation of private property. The judge ordered immediate return of the full 200 acres to me. Demolition of the 12 newly constructed homes at the developer's expense. Financial restitution for loss of livestock, destruction of structures, emotional distress, and legal fees. Federal fines for violation of service member protections. The courtroom was silent. Then the judge added something I'll never forget. This court will not tolerate predatory exploitation of those serving this country.